All right, so it says I'm going live, which for the last 12 times, that was a lie. So somehow the connection to YouTube is broken. Oh, I'm in it right now. Never mind. All right, I'm just waiting for Hitch. We had some technical difficulties with the last one. It just delinked from YouTube and we couldn't get it running. So I got this running now and I know it's working. I have no idea why. I think I'm done pre scheduling them. For some reason, the links get busted and it never works. So I hit the live button. It says we're going live. It says we're streaming, but we're not streaming. So sorry. Not that anyone's really in here, but just waiting on Hitch. Oh, thank God, doctor. Let me tell you what. I don't know why, but it is absolutely nothing but a headache with this Riverside when you pre-schedule. Wayne, I see you.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you. Yeah, see, I knew you'd give me a call
Oh,
then.
wow. Wow, wow, wow. I don't know
While
what's
while
going on
we
over here, man. We're having some might be having some technical issues with the internet, but if I'm sounding good, just give me a thumbs up. Nice.
Yeah, you're good, man. It was we're going to just use these links from now on. I'm done making like pre-scheduling them. For some reason they always break. So, I'm just
Okay.
going to schedule the lives as normal and we'll just hop on this link. This seems to work better, but now I probably set myself back 25 minutes cuz Hitch just got to find an old email and Lord knows how that works. You like my hat?
The Gulf of America. Yes, I like that.
Loud and clear.
I like your guys' national pride.
Thank you. Thank you. So
Never
while we're
wavered.
waiting for Hitch, man, what's been good? How's life?
Well, life's been good. Life's been good. Busy. Like I told you before, I'm getting into busy season.
Yep.
So I'm just trying to figure it out as we go along. Um, Big political situation in Canada. Kind of to switch gears there, but it's kind of hot topic ish going on up here, and the Conservative Party, which was the favorite for a while, lost to the Liberal Party, who's currently in office, and they've been blamed for basically bringing our country down to the shithole. And they were reelected just because everyone they say because the Liberal people who voted are afraid of Trump, and they felt that Polyev was too much like Trump, and that he was going to um, promote too much nationalistic independent development and whatnot. And the bleeding hearts of Canada weren't ready for that. So
So you
here's
guys
your,
aren't ready
here's your
to deglobalize?
yeah. And you know what? It's that the the 51st state stuff that really pissed people off, man.
I had a feeling it would.
So that
I
was not. I don't know. See, here's the funny
s-
part. I think Donald Trump is just a goddamn cunning mastermind here, and trolled the shit out of the people to make the to keep the Liberals in party. I don't know.
Ah,
I don't know. I don't know what his angle is here. I don't know if he
Hitch.
feels
Or
like
I'm
he
sorry,
can
Wayne.
advantage.
You
Yeah,
think that's all the guy does? He's a walking troll.
I just don't know what his angle is. I don't know if he really thinks working with Polyev would have been the better play, and if in long term Polyev was going to concede to the 51st state bullshit.
Oh,
But
that'll never happen. That was just a
we will.
joke.
Yeah, see, that's the thing with Trump
What's
is,
up,
yeah, it's a
fellas?
joke, but like, come on, man, you're supposed to be serious. Knock it off.
Politics is wrestling. We're just getting good heat right now, and 90s wrestling is back. We've got the WWF Attitude Era. Um, Sting is up in the rafters. That's just how things are. Good heat.
Yeah.
Good conversation. All right, guys, we are live. Hitch, I'm
What's
done
up,
making
Mitch?
up those stupid links, pre-recording them. We're just going to use this link and go live and
Sure,
call
dude.
it a
So
day
we're
because this
so we're
works.
live right now, right?
We're live, man. You can take your shirt off, your pants, everything.
It's so
The
wild.
doctor has joined us.
The
The
doctor.
11th,
Trying to
the
get the
11th
chat open.
Providence. Here we come.
I didn't. I didn't. I didn't see or learn who the doctor is. Is he just a fan, or is he a buddy of yours?
Doc's a big supporter of the show, from my understanding, and he had a lot to contribute last time we were live, and we appreciated that immensely.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I saw
he's
that. I
also
just don't
the
know.
secret mastermind behind this whole podcast. So you
The
know how you had
brains.
Shredder and then you had Krang. I guess I'm Shredder and he's Krang. So yeah, he's the
I w-
brains behind this.
More like the Sergeant Hulka. He's the big toe.
Surgeon Hulko.
You're
I like
Francis.
that.
That makes me John Candy.
Take it easy, Francis.
Settle down, Francis.
You always default to John Candy in every movie, even if John Candy's not in the movie.
Cheers.
Automatic candy. Well, boys, listen. We had a week off of a traditional broadcasting. I got some sunshine down in Florida, which was awesome. Hitch got even whiter than before, which I don't know if that's possible.
Don't know how I pulled that off.
Wayne is calling in because he's doing dad stuff and he's just
Yeah.
still here to contribute. So he's our official call-in caller today from Canada.
Wayne, I wish you could get your priorities in order.
I know, man. His family gets in the way, and jeez, I'll figure it out one day. Don't worry.
Well, we appreciate you joining us for a post-draft conversation because I've been waiting to talk about this
Yeah.
even since before the draft. So um, let's start it off with just quick reactions, right? So Hitch, as a Lions fan, I'm going to ask you how you feel. Wayne, how do you feel as a Buffalo fan? Wayne, start real quick and just tell me,
Yeah.
quick take, how do you feel about this draft?
Overall, I'm quite content. At the end of the day, looking at the big picture, the Bills addressed a lot of needs on the defensive side of the ball, which was probably our weakest point. So, kudos to Brandon Bean and his crew for managing that.
I agree. Hitch, Lions, quick take, how do you feel?
Yeah, dude. Immediate reaction was that I liked it. Putting in a little bit of time and over the course of the long weekend with the 3 days of the draft, I love it. I hope I don't have to go back and eat my words, but if we only had 5 minutes to talk tonight, my takeaways would be that Brad Holmes picked the strategy of sticking with these big schools, sticking with established systems, at least for the top five, and went and got the guys he wants, and he chose athleticism and he chose violence. And we got younger. We got that depth that we were sorely lacking last year. I at this early stage, I'm very pleased.
Well, I'll ask myself, Mark, how do you feel about this draft? And I'm going to echo a lot of what you said, but I'm going to start off with I expected this. And I hate to say it. Well, I don't hate to say it. I'm really happy to say it. I kind of called it, right? So we all know Brad Holmes is a unpredictable yet predictable man. But like you said, Hitch, he falls in love with certain programs that mirror his culture. So it was pretty easy for me to see, okay, if we're at 28, we're picking one of the Ohio State defensive linemen. I mean, any of those guys fit, right? I'm not saying they're all worthy of that pick, but they fit what we do here in Detroit, right? And then I said, okay, second round, our first pick will be an offensive tackle. I didn't say who it was, but again with Brad, it's not about the name of the specific player. It's about the specifics of that player. What school did he come from? Who was he coached by? And how well did he interview? I mean, that's the Brad Holmes recipe for success, right there.
Yeah, it couldn't have been, at least speaking of Detroit, it couldn't have been more interesting. And the things that we're going to learn about these guys, the potential, the ceiling, I guess they would say, is so high for so many of these guys. I have a sheet here that I would like to go through. I don't want to do it right now, but there's some metrics that we now know for a fact that they're using. And they always just kind of seem to get the guy that they want, right? And I don't know if that's just because they tend to evaluate differently than some other folks, or what, but every highlight for year after year is them just banging on tables and celebrating, and Sheila on the phone talking to these dudes, and they always kind of seem to get the guy they want. And this year, picking 28, there's not a huge difference in drop off in talent, in compensation package. You know, I saw a lot of stuff with Williams maybe going towards the top of the second round, but what is 28? 25, 28 is glorified second round, right? I mean, I don't think we reached really per se for the first couple of picks. We just get the guys we want, and it tends to work out for us.
Well, let's stick on that topic real quick, and then Wayne, I'll let you hop in. But I
Yeah.
listened to an interview Brad Holmes did post draft, obviously, and Tyleik Williams. They said that they've been looking at him since 2023. They anticipated him coming out earlier, and they figured they would get him in a later round because he would come out early. He's younger, a little bit more raw, but they've been
established.
watching him from 2023, and he said Shep has been calling out that he wants him on his team since 2023. So you're right, they get their guy.
They always do. There's some happenstance, but there's a lot of strategy, a lot of smoke screen.
Yeah.
After this draft, I think that Holmes and Campbell and their whole regime, they got this whole subterfuge down to a science, dude. Because lots of dudes that kind of consistently call these shots, they were surprised too. Nobody that I saw was like, "Whoa, what did they just do?" But it was one of those, "Oh, not the direction I thought they were going." But we'll break it down. I got a lot of thoughts on this because we got strong, not where, we didn't take that edge until later. But let's go back, Mark, to that term that we coined of the beneficiary. There's got to be a
Yeah.
beneficiary, this 300 and whatever pound behemoth, unmovable run stopper with a pass rush upside, being right next to Hutch, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's the point. So everybody was so adamant on us getting pass rush, which, yeah, we need pass rush help, but we have the best pass rusher in the league coming back. So he does need help. It doesn't mean we have to go out and get him the another number one. We're picking at 28. You're not going to replicate another Hutch on the other side. The only way we're doing that was with the unrealistic Myles Garrett trade, the unrealistic, all the unrealistic trades we put out there for top
Yeah.
edge rushers.
The
So
only
this
way
is
to
how
do that,
you do it.
the only way to do that, besides for the way that we did it, is overpaying in free agency or selling off on future capital 2 first rounders for a 31-year-old guy.
Well,
and-
Wayne, I know you want to tell us that we're finally doing it like the Eagles. Isn't that what you said we needed to do?
Yeah, that is the way to do it. I think. I don't know. I'm not convinced that Tyleik Williams was the top choice in the first round. I think they were expecting Kenneth Grant if they're going to go D tackle route and angle. They were expecting Kenneth Grant to have dropped to that point. I just think there were, for them and their needs, to have drafted a tackle. Yeah, is he? He's a Lee McNeil. That's his comp. He's so Lee McNeil.
Yep.
I know he's injured right now. So, but when he's back, Lee McNeil's going to start. Like you're back, you're drafting Lee McNeil's backup in the first round. Where I think there was other areas on the team that could have been addressed, particularly like I said, and I'm going to continue my stance on the pass rush. I don't know what happened with this Mike Green fella. He dropped quite a bit, but he
He
was
did.
still on the board. Um, Nick Scourton. There was a few guys still out there that I would have thought would have probably addressed that need for you guys a little bit better. But you guys are convinced that this is the way. This is what Brad Holmes wanted. But I'm going to challenge that. We're going to see how that pick plays out.
Well, and if I can have the opportunity to kind of have a rebuttal, there's more than one way to peel an onion. And when you say that you need a pass rush that we're weak on the edges, uh, we got a guy that fills the immediate need, the short term need for McNeil being gone. I have in my notes comparable player McNeil. Okay, but what I think this guy has the potential to be is a unmovable gap plugging run stopper with the feet and the hands to develop into a pass rusher, as we've seen McNeil do over the last 3+ years, right? So we're filling that immediate need that is voided by McNeil still recovering from surgery, but then we're also we didn't add a bookend or a run stopping edge for that matter for Hutchinson, who is a premier pass rusher. We added somebody that is going to demand double teams. And not necessarily right out of the gates from a pass rushing standpoint, but Hutch does more than blitz. Hutch isn't Houston. Hutch does more than blitz. So you're freeing up one or the other, and then you go down the line and you scratch the itch with the Egyptian edge rusher. Everyone is some folks are saying he's more of a bookend. He's more like setting the edge, more of a run stopper. But everything that I'm seeing says 20 sacks in 2 years, right? From a guy that's very raw. He's one of the few guys of the 7 that we drafted whose relative athletic score was not through the roof, right? But we were able to go out, add quality starter, immediate starter. And then if you look at a guy like McNeil or anybody the size of McNeil, it's hard for them to be on the field for an entire long drive, right? So you have the luxury now of this plug and play starter from Ohio State coming in as an absolute mountain that's going to disrupt the run, that's going to demand attention from potentially more than one blocker, and that frees somebody up. So you wanted to bring the pressure from the edges. Everyone, all the pundits are saying Detroit needs an edge, but we potentially freed up the best edge rusher in the game. And we did that by getting the guy they wanted that is a culture fit and is going to, for all relative accounting, is going to have that upside to develop into the pass rusher. Because Wayne, I know you played football. I know you coach football. You see the tape where he's making these power moves with his arms, but he's working with his feet too. His inside step, what he's doing with his left leg on one side or his right leg on the, if he's coming from the other gap, is fantastic. And I don't think I'm just being a slappy or a homer. I think that we got a guy that fills the need to free up Hutch, the need to stop the run, because look at the running backs in our division. And then we add the quality depth that we were missing last year on the heels of a guy like John Kaminsky retiring, right? This, Mike Green, it's all conjecture. It's a crapshoot. But a guy like Mike Green, there's a reason that he fell past us, right? It wasn't just that we were in love with a big run stopper. I'm hearing all these things about pending charges, about bad interviews. So we're not going to sacrifice our culture. So in my opinion, Wayne and Mark, for that matter, I think that we were able to really get better, to add depth, to add a quality guy that fits our culture that's going to free up Hutch. Because all of this is about freeing up Hutchinson, right? If you're looking at, we're not bringing pressure from the edge, it's all about getting Hutchinson free. And I think we accomplished that.
I sent you the Mike Mayock interview, both of you. I know I did, right before this. And he and Wayne, it got me thinking of you because You said Ravens are going to go out and have the best draft ever because that's what they do. They draft. They always go out and get their guys. We don't know how they do it. You said the Eagles are going to go out and they're going to do Eagles things. And they did. They got everybody who they wanted. We don't know how they do that. Well, Mike Mayock, if you watch the video, said there's a third team that's starting to have that trend, and it's the Lions because they're going out and getting their guys. Because, yes, there were pass rushers that I think will probably do really well on the teams that they went on. But when the Lions and your Bills did the same thing, they got guys that are Buffalo Bills. They're meaty, right? And that speedy little corner you guys got, who's from Detroit, he's a Bills. He is perfect for your Bills Mafia. He is positive, full of energy, great teammate. He's a scrappy, smaller corner, and you guys exceed with that, right? So I think both of us have organizations that are very secure with what we want to do, who we are, and what we want to be. And we don't get caught up in the glitz and the glamour like Matt Millen used to, right? Or we don't buy into the hype that some of these teams are buying into. So that's my like 30,000 foot view perspective of it.
And I don't think that these teams like Buffalo, these teams like Baltimore, these teams like the Steelers, I don't think that they're just always getting lucky with the guys they want falling into their laps. I think that they evaluate players differently.
Yeah.
They Buffalo and Pittsburgh and Baltimore evaluate differently than we do, and vice versa. But when we do our homework and are elated with the guys that we're able to pick, it's not because we're getting lucky, it's because of the system in which we evaluate.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you. I agree with what you guys are saying in terms of the organization and prioritizing, the people that fit within the culture, and taking those players that you want and being confident with that. Because both of our organizations do that. Again,
I
I'm
think
not
exceptionally well. You guys have done it better than we have longer, but
Yeah, I mean we were okay. We're like honestly, our draft, Brandon Bean, he's been like medium to okay. He hasn't knocked it out of the park. His best pick obviously was Josh Allen, but then after that, he's had Dalton Kincaid, who still has yet to prove, what he can do. Greg Rousseau, he is, he's right on the cusp. He's on that. He's on that time frame where he's going to take that next step. He just got extended this past off season as well. Kyer Elam was a bust. But anyhow, his first round picks have been a little bit hit or miss in general drafts overall. So for him to have achieved the kind of draft that the fans really needed to the organization to see the organization do, he delivered. So I'll take what I can get right now. I'm happy with it.
And I do love the way, Wayne, that he went on the radio. I don't know if it was yesterday, day before, or after round one. I don't know, but I'm seeing these TikToks and I'm seeing these reels coming through where fan base was critical of the picks that he made, and he said, "Listen, you guys were mad about Josh Allen. Let's give this some time, man." He said, "You guys didn't want Josh Allen. There's 6 other players that you wanted above Allen, and now this guy has taken us to a stratosphere that we've been just on the outside looking in at." And I think that I love the way that he is just like, this is our plan and we're sticking to it and time will tell, right? Because all of this is conjecture until we see what these guys can actually do in the NFL.
And that is all it comes down to. We're still waiting for Terry and Arnold this year to take a big step up and prove why he is who he is. We see it. We know it's there. This is the year, though, for Brad to hit consistent with that pick, right? So, man, dude, Hitch, the second round pick, you want to touch on Kenny Powers?
Yeah, let's touch on this.
Kenny Powers.
Yeah.
He looks just like Kenny Powers.
My other group chat with my lifelong friends, we chat a lot about everything, but this time of year, especially predominantly football, draft, free agency, UDFA. I woke up to a text. What was it? Friday morning. that said, "Hey, anybody left that you guys are coveting?" And I responded, "Yes, it's Ratledge." And I'm not the only guy in the country that knew who Ratledge was, but I called that shot at 8:30 in the morning on Friday, and then when it actually happened, man, that was the picture I sent them.
Wow.
That's the picture they used on ESPN. That's the picture that everybody's looking. It's the Kenny Powers. Not only is the guy a culture fit, but he's violent. I'm gonna keep talking about how violent these top 4 to 5 picks are, how violent the safety is that we drafted in the 7th. If you didn't score out with just a phenomenal RAS, they chose downhill guys that choose violence, right? And this guy can come in and play either side of the interior line, and this guy can come in and play center. I think what's going to happen, general consensus is this guy's going to come in and really push and be a plug and play starter on the right side interior for the guard.
He's day one right guard starter, and then he
Yeah.
moves over to center when Ragnow leaves.
Or when Ragnar gets injured, or when he has to take a rest, or
Exactly.
whatever. We know that Ragnar's a premier center in the league, maybe the best, but the only knock on the guy is injury prone, and he has injuries that we now know cannot be surgically repaired.
Correct.
This guy's going to play through injury every year that he plays.
So we bolstered the strength of our team is running the ball. The same way the Eagles ran the Super Bowl or won the Super Bowl, we run the freaking ball, right? So you're right, Hitch. This guy is, Mike Mayock called him a dirtbag, and he goes,
He
I know it
calls
sounds
himself
mean.
a dirtbag.
He goes, but that is the biggest compliment you can give an offensive lineman is calling him a dirtbag. And he goes, that's
Yeah.
exactly what he is.
And I sent you guys the TikTok of him running his 40, and his mullet is going left to right, his gold chain's going left to right, he's got the fade. It doesn't matter that the guy looks like a fucking machine. What matters is that the guy played at a very high level when healthy, not often injured, but injured enough for it to be relevant. But playing in Georgia,
look at
this
I was going to say,
isn't-
look at the program he came from. It's
yeah.
I don't
So-
have to tell you, you're all football fans.
Yeah,
You've
we
watched
did.
for the last
We did
10
our
years.
homework, and we were fired up. And for people that were upset that we maybe took him a few picks too high, we got the guy we wanted. Not only is it a culture fit that we keep coming back to, it's a big time thing in Detroit, maybe more so than anywhere else for culture fit. But this guy filled a need,
Here's your
And-
culture fit.
right, from Detroit, right, or from Michigan.
From Michigan, was a Detroit Lions fan, had his own jersey. Brad Holmes said he wore it to his meeting, and he thought, oh, this guy's just being cheesy. He had a jersey made up. He goes, turns out that was the jersey he made custom for himself when he was a kid.
In 8th grade.
In 8th grade, right?
Now we're going through this quick, and that's cool. But can I talk a little bit about my notes on Tesla?
Absolutely. That's why I brought him up.
So
You're the Tesla expert. You went to high school
Yeah, let's
with
hear about this guy.
the original Tesla, didn't you?
he went to high school in South Africa, I believe.
Oh, yeah, you weren't there in South Africa.
Nah, I don't dig that diamond money.
No.
That
Okay,
dirty ass
sorry.
diamond money. So Isaac Tesla, I think, whatever.
Yeah.
Isaac Tesla, wide receiver, Arkansas. Again, big program, but this dude started out at Hillsdale College, right, 45 minutes from here. D2 can't give athletic scholarships. Plays his way up to get over to Arkansas. The one thing we have to take into account here, he didn't blow the doors off at Arkansas. I have down here, let's see, 28 receptions, 546 yards, 3 TDs. When you look at a guy with 28 receptions out of Arkansas, you would not immediately think, oh, almost 600 yards. You'd think 340, 380. This guy's average was 19.5.
Yeah.
And to harp on this RAS that I'm going to bring up a lot, the relative athletic score, because that's how they take what they do at the combine and give it a metric that can make it measurable, right? So with the RAS score, this guy graded out, let's see, 9.97. If we're at all familiar with the RAS goes
Yeah,
to
what the
10.
hell's a RASP?
Relative
Explain it.
Relative athletic score.
relative
There we go.
athletic score.
Okay.
So the RAS goes from 0 to 10. This guy graded out at a 997. Okay. 6'4", 200 and what, 18, 19, 20 pounds. And with an average of 19.5 yards per reception, the dude never had a drop.
I was just going to say.
He never had
Tell
a drop
me how many
in
drops.
college.
Tell me
Zero.
how many drops.
Zero in
How many?
in collegiate football. Zero. Goose egg. Zero. Nothing to mark.
0.0.
0.000 is still zero, right?
How many years
So,
did he play at Arkansas?
I believe two. I think he had a year down here or over here, and then made it up to Arkansas 2 years. Now, when we're talking about
the
the
train to
RAS,
Arkansas.
when we're talking about a RAS at 997, since they started the combine and incorporating these RAS scores as a measurable metric, there has been 3,441 receivers measured on this RAS scale.
All right, give me the top 5.
I can't give you the top 5, but I can tell you out of almost 4,000 people, he ranked at 11. They started doing this in 1987.
Oh, out of 11 from 87, and that rhymes.
No, out of the almost 3,500 dudes that have ever been subjected to this
Right.
scale, he grades
Since
out at 11.
87.
Yeah,
He's
since
11.
87 to present.
Okay.
Yeah, 11.
Okay, so that's going to be relevant when you tell me who the 10 people are.
Go ahead and look it up, dude. But what
See,
Brad
I knew that was
does-
the next question.
No, what
And
Brad,
I
what
get it.
they do is they only have so much that they can measure off of, and what they value is big
Yeah.
program, good coaching, and then athleticism.
Yeah.
The guys
this
that
guy
we
is-
didn't, the guys that measure out with a relatively average RAS that we got throughout this draft are guys that are just violent, downhill tacklers, blockers that just maul. You hear the term road grading, right? We got a couple of road graders. I think that some of the most interesting picks in the entirety of this draft are 2 or 3 picks made by the Detroit Lions. They grade out. They all we can look at is what they did in college and what they did at the combine, and all we can look at is the film that we have and the numbers that they put down on paper. And if you were just
we can-
evaluating by that, these are home runs.
Well, and let's look at, too, where they can help us. They can help us in the slot, right? You got, in the 5th round, we picked up Miles Frazier as an offensive tackle. And another one, he's a mauler. He's another guy from LSU, from a coaching staff that they love. Brad Davis, I think, is the coach over there. And it's the thing that I've noticed, Hitch and Wayne, is that these guys have a lot of commonalities and not even only what they've done on tape, but what they're capable of doing in the future, right? How coachable are you? We saw that with a lot of players, and that's a good way to fall in these drafts. If
It's the
you come
ceiling.
in interview and you look at, and they look at you and they go, yeah, okay, this guy, he did great in college, and that's his ceiling. You're right. There's no way we're going to be able to get any more out of him. And if we're going to be drafting him as a 2nd or a 3rd or a 4th round pick, I'm not even touching this.
I'm distracted by Doc over here.
I gave him a task.
Current Hitch status: 4 beers.
2 tangents wide and absolutely unstoppable.
Well, I feel like a juggernaut right now, and I will tell you that I am probably more than 4 beers in. I've slept for about 3 hours in the last 2
shit.
days, and I'm fired up, dude, because this draft, I feel like it's going to hit different.
It already hits different because where I was headed before the doc gave me my poll numbers is we got guys for the future. It's clear to see where they fit in. Previous years, it's like, okay, we really expect to see Josh Pasquale start in immediately when we're that stripped away from defensive end. Okay, no, he's clearly depth. Great. These guys, man, I already know where they're going. I know they're here for the future, and I see the bigger picture now with what he did. And that's why, and I'm telling you, there's been a couple comments in the chats about certain opinions. You cannot fall in love early on in the draft with players. You can't.
You can't
mean-
fall in love with any player yet to be drafted, the same as
No.
you can't fall in love with the players that you already have. We want
If
to
you
keep
trust
this
your
nucleus
general
together,
manager-
but what is the nucleus, right?
Exactly. And we're used to that, though. That's the SOL fan where, and I get it, we all have a little bit of that DNA in us where we're used to that mentality where we don't trust our general manager, so we're in fantasy land. We're thinking about, okay, I'm a Madden GM and I want to put this team together to distract me from my current roster, right? No, we have a general manager where I can go out and say, and you can go out and say, hey, this is a Brad Holmes kind of guy. Or first round, yeah, they're going to take somebody. It was like mid-season of all of our episodes, and I said, guys, get ready to fall in love with one of these Ohio State linemen, because I knew Brad Holmes is going to love one of these guys and just say, they fit what I want to do here.
Can I address something from the chat?
You were, yes, please, sir, address the chat.
All right. So I don't recall if we ever saw Anthony in here or not. And Anthony, thank you for giving
contribution.
us your, thank you for giving us your time. Thank you for sticking in here. And I want to address what you just said. Anthony says, I like Tesla, though we gave up way too much for him. Okay. I knew this was going to come up. And I know that we're from Detroit. I know that we're excited. I know that we're fired up. But if you look at the actual picks given up, okay? If you look at this and you hear, hold on, I got it in my notes because nobody's perfect. Here it is. If you look at what's given up for Tesla, it was round 3 pick, traded up to 70, right? We gave, I believe, 102. And then third round picks, right? 2 third-round picks from next year. One of those third-round picks, I believe to be, and fact check me if I'm wrong, I want to know, but I believe one of those third-round picks was a compensatory pick that we were on track to get for Aaron Glenn going over to the Jets. Okay, so then you start talking about, yes, technically a third-round pick, but it's pick 33, 34, 35, 36, whatever it was. So we swapped, right? So we moved up to 70, gave them 102. We gave them a 2026 third that will really just depend on how we finish, right? Anywhere from 1 to 32. But then ostensibly you're giving up a pick that you never calculated, that you weren't planning on, that you were just happy to have, that is a glorified early 4th round pick. And you might think we're splitting hairs, but you used a third this year's plus the 2 third rounders in 2026 to move up an entire round. You moved up an entire round. Okay. So I'm not disgruntled. I don't surface level, I thought they overpaid. Like, what are they doing? And I've never heard of this guy. But then you look at the RAS, then you look that he never dropped a pass, then you look that he's a hometown guy, and you think you moved from 102 to 70. You moved up an entire round for the cost of,
well, check this out,
a compensatory pick and a third round pick.
How many trades on day 2 do you think he tried to make?
Brad?
Yeah.
How many do I think he tried to make? Probably 32.
That's what I'm saying. All these good GMs that we're talking about, right? Philadelphia, Detroit, but that's what they do. Day 2 and day 3, they just trade around. So I know the point you were trying to make on beer number 12, but what you were trying to say is those later round picks, that's what you do. If you're thinking already that in 2026 we needed our 3rd round pick at the later end of the round and that's going to make or break next year's season, you're living in the past. You got to start thinking like Brad Holmes.
You traded the 3rd round pick that is yours in 2026 in perpetuity. You're going to get a 3rd round pick, and then you traded a compensatory pick to move up the equivalent of an entire round.
And then next year at 2026, Brad Holmes comes up and we have 3 third round picks because of something he did with something. So he's a wheeler, he's a dealer, and that's why you have to trust him. Just like Howie Rosen, when he cuts his entire defensive line, trades C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and then has an awesome draft, and you go, oh shit, they got younger and better just like that.
I appreciate the engagement. Anthony is also saying that we gave up a 6 in 2025. Okay, we did.
That's great.
I'm sure you're not wrong. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and that's the point I think we're both trying to make, is that, and the bigger picture of it, we can't get hung up on those tiny things because That's what these good general managers do, man. They're picking up the phone, bugging each other every 5 seconds, day two and
In
day
Well,
three.
that's what I
in
told you guys. That's what I told you guys is how your mentality has to shift when it comes to these draft picks,
You're right.
especially sitting towards the end of the draft where you can't really focus on a particular guy at the top of the list, right? You just got to wait to see what falls to you, and at that point, then you start wheeling and dealing. And yeah, you guys are seeing exactly how an organization that is almost ready to get to the Super Bowl, how it operates, and it's firsthand, just like this.
Yeah,
These
it
draft
all
picks are
hits
assets.
different.
They're assets. They're not like
Well
we don't
said.
need these guys to fill the roster, right? You just need assets to move some chips around so you can get one stud here and there, and that's where you're at, man. That's a good feeling.
Well, then let's talk about the way that people formerly evaluated the value of a draft pick, right? It was all based on the quote unquote Jimmy Johnson draft value chart. Okay, that made sense. That's what everybody used. It made relative sense until the Rams did what they started doing, right? They were just giving up first round picks. How many years was it
Yeah, Brad
that the
Holmes.
Ram? Yeah, and the Rams didn't have a first round pick for how long, and they won a Super Bowl, right? So that was a game changer, and that Jimmy Johnson antiquated value chart is out the window. So when people look at two third rounds and a sixth, they're tending to value that off of the old metric. But when you're looking in today's NFL, and in
Well,
a win now mentality, the window is open mentality that we've never had the luxury of in our lifetime, it's a whole different ballgame.
but and that's what you're saying. This is the new NFL. So let's look at a team like we all hate, but I'm starting to come around in respect of the Eagles,
I
and
fucking hate
this
the Eagles.
this is what so this is how they did what they've done, right? So when Chip Kelly was still running that team and he was the general manager, they took Howie and they sent him all over the world and they said, "Go learn how all these different teams are successful. Soccer, hockey, wherever, right?" And he took a whole different perspective, and that's what you're outlining, Hitch, is that this is a different NFL. There's a different approach to this. You're not going to take the archaic way, i.e. what happened with Shador Sanders. That was 5 years ago. He's going in the first round like a Johnny Manziel, and then we see a whole media frenzy and a wasted pick. Now the Browns still did it again, but they just waited until what, the fifth round this time. But
Yeah.
yeah, you have to look in a whole different mentality, and it's not just what does Mel Kiper and Todd McShay say. It is literally let's start looking at these guys 3 years out, and let's start finding out these unmeasurables that other teams don't have that we measure these players on.
Different ways of evaluating, and the whole philosophy of the league ebbs and flows. That's no secret. But I mean, how many running backs were taken in the first round this year? Three,
Yeah, and do you want to know why? Because
because the game
Philadelphia
has
won a
changed
freaking Super Bowl,
by
and
digging into free agency and getting their guy, right,
by
giving him the
running the
bag,
ball too,
right.
in a league that was so pass happy, where it had to be, an RPO almost was coming in, and it had to be wide receiver, wide receiver. Philly said, "Screw that, we're going to run the ball," and that's what they did. And
Yeah,
now these teams are going, "Oh, it doesn't look so bad when they got Jameer Gibbs and David Montgomery. Oh yeah, that look what that two-headed monster does." And well, if we want that two-headed monster, we need to keep that offensive line going like this. Well, it's not going to get any younger unless we draft them. Dude, I sent you that text. By next year, we could have an offensive line that's their average age is 24 years old.
right, right.
I mean, how awesome is that, right?
Yep.
And then if you really want to talk next year's draft,
Huh?
then you can go out and really beef up the defensive line and have
Hold on a second.
somebody top tier.
I thought your guys' offensive line was in jeopardy of kind of capsizing a little bit with Ragnow getting a little bit up there, and
Well,
Well, the
Glasnow and little left tackle, whatever his name
Gla-
is, stuck
Glasgow out.
Becker.
Glasgow is now, in my opinion, a nice depth piece. We drafted two guards from two big programs that are plug and play at this point.
yep.
Glasgow now matriculates himself down the depth chart to an affordable depth piece, right? And
He's what we brought him in to do, is help out and be rotational. I mean,
yeah,
he's not the guy that we
Well,
brought in like
he
how we drafted
he was
him.
starting right from the get go. That guy. What do you mean?
Well, that's
he
what
was
we
starting.
needed at
He was
that
starting
point.
last year for sure.
Yeah.
And years
So was
in,
Kevin Zeitler,
previously.
who's no longer on
Right.
the team.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying, Wayne, is like we're drafting Glasgow's replacement. He goes right guard, all there, right there. Christian, is it Mahogany? Yeah, we drafted him last year. He showed up big at the end. That's somebody that can get slid onto the left side. But Penny Sewell goes from right guard to left tackle day one. That why am I
Right
blanking
tackle.
on his
Right
name now?
tackle to left
Taylor
tackle.
Decker.
Or I'm sorry, right tackle to Taylor Decker. Sorry, you got me all over the place. But so that's just how I see it. That's the future of the offensive line. And you may have missed it, but what I'm saying is we're not waiting until that offensive line blows up and say, let's do what the Bears do and just go out and sign everybody 1 year and hope it works. They're just kind of keeping that machine
And
getting
we're not,
younger
we're
and
not
stronger.
we're not waiting until we have to make these tough decisions about do we give another contract to or do we not trade a guy like Decker. Decker's been great, man, but how old is Decker? 36, probably 34.
Yeah, he's
I
going to
don't know.
retire. He's going to
Wow.
retire a lineman or
Yeah.
a lion.
36. Oh my! I didn't realize he was that old.
Well,
Oh,
and
he's
maybe
been
I'm
on the
wrong.
team
Let
forever.
Doc or Anthony
Oh,
can
boy.
fact check us, but he's in his mid 30s, I think, and he's already on to, I believe, his third contract, and he has made bank from us. But what we did with these two offensive linemen in particular at the top of this or near the top of this draft is we just kind of hedged our bets, got young, got athletic, guaranteed if everything pans out that we'll be able to run the ball like we've been accustomed to running the ball. We'll protect Goff. That's the name of the game, and we were able to do that. Was it what everybody thought we were going to do? Was it what Fairweather fans wanted us to do? Was it what Mel fucking Kuiper wanted us to do? No, but at the end of the day, and we're not done talking about this draft. We still have like 3 or 4 picks to talk about, but at the end of the day, we got younger, we got stronger, we got all of these guys in at a more affordable contract, and in theory are going to be able to do what worked for us last year. We're going to be able to keep doing that at a better price at a younger age with more athleticism. And
Let's hit those
up
other
the door.
drafts.
It opens up the door down the line for us to be able to at the trade deadline to move Decker, like we've talked about for 3 years, right? It gives us.
I am going to put a knife in your Decker ramble because you want to talk about Miles Frazier, and I know that's
do.
where you're headed.
I do,
And I know you want to talk about Ahmad Hussein, but
just look. Decker's 31. Okay, so in my
That's a big difference.
my lexicon of only being off by 3 years is not bad because I fuck up all the time. 31 and 34 is a big difference, but we're already giving this guy a huge bag, and now we get cheaper contract, team control, and at the worst, depth.
So now do you want to talk
anyways,
about
I
how much
digress.
you love Dan Jackson, the safety out of Georgia?
Well, let's
in the
talk about
7th round?
let's talk about Frazier, and I want to ask you guys a couple questions about Frazier.
Ask
'cause
away.
I'm a little perplexed.
He's a mauler, dude. He's a big-bodied guy. He doesn't have to come in and start today. He doesn't have to come in and start really right now at all. But he's the perfect rotational guy that we can form into something bigger and better. Where we got him, I love it. It's a 5th-round pick.
Miles Frazier's relative athletic score, 8.58.
Perfect.
So we're looking at this metric that is used widely from 1987 through today. This puts him at the 226th guard ever evaluated with the RAS. So he's in the upper echelon of this athletic score. And Wayne, I don't know what guards were drafted before him. I don't know what that RAS pans out to actually mean. But he's athletic, he's angry, he's from a big program, and again,
So he checks the boxes.
again, Brad doubled up. He did it with McNeil and Anzawore, right? We always talk about how Brad likes to double up and really hammer on what he feels needs to be addressed. And then I started thinking about this. When you get a guy that that played, I think, something like 3,000 snaps at a program like LSU. There's a reason, right? You would think there has to be a reason that he's drafted in the 5th round. So I started looking at
The
the
internet,
things, yeah,
the computer.
the Google machine here. But when I think about guys drafted in the 5th round after not giving up a sack in 2 years, and I think only something like 7 pressures in the last 2 years, and he can run block and he can pass block, I start thinking about what's wrong with this guy. So I looked up his arm length, 33 and 3/8 inches. Average arm length for a guard, a starting guard on either side in the NFL, 33 inches. I looked up his actual hand size. His hand size, 9 inches. Average hand size for the guard in the NFL, either side, 9 inches. The guy ran a 40 for what it's worth at a pretty impressive pace. He graded out with this high athletic ability, and he came from a program like LSU. So why was this guy here in the 5th? That's my question. Why was he here in the 5th?
I can give you that answer because we are one of few teams that knows how to evaluate offensive linemen properly. There's all you can take a look at. This is what we've wanted. We've wanted to be the team that goes out and finds a guy in the 5th round who's an offensive lineman and go, yeah, that works. He's not injury prone. He's not listed as a locker room guy. He's not somebody who we know who's going to get his knee blown out and be on the practice squad. Like, these are guys where we go, he found a dog. I love it, right? We're just not used to this. And that's why you just have to kind of say, to your point, he checks the box on your goofy ass score and says he's a great athlete, right? He's a mauler. His stats are there. He's average across the board. And the measurables are, we can argue that up and down. That's irrelevant because if he's a stud, and there's plenty of guys that didn't measure properly.
It's not irrelevant because it's the tools that we have to our disposal, or that the professionals have to their disposal to evaluate these
For
guys.
sure.
And
Yeah.
I'm not being argumentative. I'm just sincerely confused why this guy was able to barely even give up a quarterback pressure to absolutely open up holes and eviscerate people when asked to run block. I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
Maybe our
where do
chat
you go to
knows,
college?
but LSU.
Hmm.
Interestingly enough, the tackle drafted by the Patriots in the top of the draft from LSU, I want to say that was like the first tackle drafted out of LSU in the 1st round ever. So are they pass happy? Is it the Joe Burrow show? Is it always just run and gun, that Southern sec run and gun deep pass? Is it? I don't know.
The knock on him right here is he's got small hands for an offensive lineman.
Average.
Well, they have it small listed on here, right? Right, but I'm just saying the knocks on him are minimal. There's nothing that stands
almost
out.
intangible. It's negligible. I have small
That's what I'm
hands
saying.
too. I have small hands too. But if I weigh 360 pounds and am a road grader, do you want me punching you in the chest 59 times a game? No. So I just don't know. I don't know why these guys are falling the way that they fall. It's just.
I think there's just I think there's got a lot to do with the availability of training and the progression of the athlete in general. A lot of these guys aren't the old school plotters like the old linemen used to be. A lot of these old linemen are athletes and train specifically for the combine and certain things. But just in general, these athletic facilities too are top of the world when it comes to equipment and functionality. And there's so much advancement when it comes to that I think the talent pool gets wider because the training and the availability of training is so vast now in college athletics.
Well, let's talk about how
well
vast
said, Wayne. That was very well
it was.
said.
It was well said, and I'd like to bring up the fact that we drafted an Egyptian man. We
Thank
were
you.
the first team to do that.
Next up on the list. I
See?
believe him
I
to
know
be
where your
the
list is at.
first.
Yo, I
believe
love this
him-
guy, man. I love this guy.
See?
He won me over at the combine with his energy. Then I heard his story, and looks like a good one. I wish him well for you guys.
So
What's his
Wayne, what
rasp?
is Wayne? What his RAS? This is the first RAS that was well below average, but and we'll come back to that.
That's what she said.
Pam and her Pam Pams. Wayne, what is the name of the drill? And I think I know what you're talking about when we talk about combine. The drill where they're running like the figure eight, right? Right hand down, left hand down, fire out athletically.
I don't
Are
know what
you-
it's called, but you just described it. Yeah.
Are
the
you
one-
talking about when he was like literally barking at the coach
Yep.
and saying, "Come on,
Exact-
let's go!" Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, dude. And I know culture isn't everything for a lot of teams, but I think culture is a lot for Detroit, right? We
Oh
know
my God.
what kind of football player we want, and we
Yeah.
also have confidence in our coaching staff to get these guys up closer to their ceiling. Look at this guy. Now, he looks like he's not going to be setting the other end. He's not the Hutch bookend right now. And if you look at the guy in gym shorts, he looks like he's a run-stopping, edge-setting, stereotypical 2013 defensive end. But then you look at the numbers, and the guy is a dog. Not just because he barked at Minnesota's line coach at the combine, but he's a dog, right? He's raw. He reminds me, my comparable, I think obviously for many reasons, is Ziggy Ansah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
say, don't even say he
But
reminds me of you in high school.
No, Ziggy Ansah was a first round draft pick. So we're getting a guy that is very raw, but very coachable, very motivated, very intense, fits the culture with 20 sacks in 2 years. The guy has played less organized football than I have, or Wayne has. Granted, Wayne played at a higher level than I did, and I played at the bullshit level that everybody plays at, but years in the calendar, this guy has played less football than either of us. But it's that mentality and that coachability. Now, Mark, to answer your question, his RAS score was like a 4.57. He's raw. He's raw. He has the
Seventh
intensity.
round, perfect.
Yeah,
So
seventh
he's
round,
coachable. He's nasty.
He's like Rudy. He's gonna be
we'll
like
get him a
Rudy.
little bit. We'll get him a little bit more raspier. I love it.
dude. I love it.
You know what? As much as he's like a project fit for Detroit, I like to think that the Detroit organization was thinking of connecting a lot with their that culture that demographic. There's an opportunity there out in Dearborn with some fans gravitating towards the team now, and this guy can be a cultural hero in Detroit, man.
Dearborn,
There's-
Dearborn was fired up, right?
Oh, man,
They
my
had
God.
to have been.
Going,
They had
yo,
to.
he's the first Egyptian one. He is now the Middle Eastern king. This guy, all those nations are supporting this guy, no matter what. They're all united because this guy plays football now.
And let me
I gotta
circle back
Get him
here.
a Golf of America hat too, and welcome to Detroit.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, yeah.
His phone conversation that has since or subsequently been TikToked and televised and everything with Dan and with Brad and with Sheila, it wasn't lip service, dude. That dude was in tears. Everyone in the room, I'm assuming family, close friends, right? Absolutely joyous that he got selected. And what he said, and I don't believe, I mean, it's kind of, I could
Hold
never
on.
put my head in this space, but I'll die for you, coach.
Hitch, I'm
Let's
about
hear
to
it.
show it. Can you see it?
do it.
I'll die because I just want him to believe in me. I just want him to believe in me. I will die on that field for you guys. I promise I would.
So fuck your rasp.
This is a guy that wanted the opportunity, and he's granted the opportunity. And
Seventh round.
In the 7th round, 20 sacks in 2 years out of Boise, 7th rounder. If this guy
that's gonna come
if
across
this guy
loud.
can manufacture 4 to 5 sacks a year, awesome. If this guy becomes a special teamer, awesome.
He's the
Seventh
jersey
rounder.
that I'm getting you.
There you go, dude. There you
Well,
go.
let's do this. Listen, we got a Pistons game going on right now that I got to get upstairs to. We've been at this for about an hour already.
We got one more.
I
pick
gotta
that
get
we
going
have
as
to
well.
address. One more.
Well, if
pick
you
that
want
we
to talk
have
about Dan
address.
Jackson, go ahead and
I
talk
want
about
to
Dan
talk
Jackson.
about Dan Jackson, and I'll do it quick if you guys got to go. But
Yep.
my
There's always a
comparable,
but.
my comparable to Dan Jackson. Does anyone else thought about a comparable to Dan Jackson?
The fact that his name is Dan Jackson, no,
Is he a safety?
He is
yeah,
a safety.
from Georgia.
Oh, I had no idea.
A safety
But anyways.
from Georgia. So again, a big successful school with an established program. My comp to Dan Jackson is Miles Killebrew.
Oh, okay. There's a name I haven't heard
And
about in a while.
Miles Killebrew, big fan favorite. My notes that I have here after watching everything and reading everything is absolute downhill tackler. This guy is going to be able to play up in the box or towards the line of scrimmage like some safeties of old, right?
He's still in the league.
Killebrew,
he
special
still
teamer for Indianapolis or
for the Steelers. I didn't
the
know he was
Steelers.
still
So
in the
he
league.
left Detroit and went to the Steelers. I didn't know he was still in the Steelers, but he's a special teamer, all-star. He's a fan favorite because he's a dog. So we went out and we drafted another dog that will be able to make an immediate impact on special teams, if not more. And every highlight that I have looked at from this guy is if he is not at the line of scrimmage making a play there against the run or in the backfield, he is running downhill, crushing people. He's a aggressive, violent guy, kind of like Branch, who might get some flags until he picks up more of the speed of the NFL. But we go out in the 7th round, we get a guy that I believe can make an immediate special teams impact, can be our 4th, maybe our 5th safety, and really push for a spot on this 53 in the 7th round. So there's
Well
nothing
said.
not to like.
I agree. I mean, you've said it over and over again. We like the pick.
That
We
was the
like the
best
draft a lot.
highlight of a 7th round pick I've ever heard.
I'm fired up. I'm fired up, guys. I got 5 pages of notes. And if you guys got to go watch the Stones, next week we're going to talk about my UDFAs. I got
boy.
2 pages of notes on UDFAs, one of which
I think
is
if you
Darius Smith's
drink a lot of
nephew.
cranberry juice, you can get rid of that.
What, are
Yeah,
you on
so
your
next
period?
week is May. I am going to be out of commission for Tuesdays.
Well, we're gonna pick another day, and we're gonna do a long recording and bank up a bunch of episodes, and Hitch can talk for hours about whatever he wants to talk about.
Well, and I'll
Fucking
leave it. I'll leave
Monopoly,
it to the chat.
and
If
bring
I'm
up our own
monopolizing,
yearbooks.
if I'm monopolizing this, let the chat tell me. But I'm fired up. I'm
I love
fired
it.
up, dude. And for real, there's a strong list of UDFAs here, and I just said it. I don't know if you heard me, but one of which is Darius Smith's nephew, a
Yeah.
wide receiver that is direct bloodline to Za'Darius. So is he coming
Well,
back? Maybe. Is he
I
at the
would- I
Pistons
would
game
like to
right
think.
now? Probably. So
Yes.
we got
With,
some UDFAs to talk about.
Cash Doll? Yeah, Cash Doll. That's who he's
That
dating.
Detroit rapper.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'll give him a little cash doll if he wants to come back. I'll send him my 401k.
I'm sure he's spending the equivalent of all of our 401ks tonight on Cash Doll just for dinner.
Let's crowdfund it, dude. Let's crowdfund his signing bonus.
Let's crowdfund his signing bonus.
Yep.
I will. I'll tell you what. If you get that going, and also too, you need to order Mike, your brother-in-law, a Lions hoodie.
I knew you were gonna call me out on that. We got
I'm
some
doing
merch,
it publicly
right? We got
because
some
we have merch, and I said because he's been such a loyal fan, and he fact checked you instantly that he's owed some gear, and I will buy him the gear. But you said no, I will buy him the
I'll
gear.
buy. He's my brother-in-law. I'll buy him
And
the gear, dude.
if you don't-
I'm lazy.
Well, that's why I'm putting it out here on the public internet right now.
Mike McGroarty, Trevor Duffney, you're gonna get a little care package here on payday.
Okay.
Trevor and Mike are ride or dies for us, and they look forward to us. They pump us up. They put the word out for us, just like I'm sure Doc does. Doc should
Yeah.
get a coffee mug too.
We'll have to get him a Tampa Bay Buccaneers one though, because he's a Bucks fan.
We gotta get him a. Can we
I'll
get
have
a-
to make him his
Can we
own
get a
special one.
DLFFP tampon?
We could do. We'll do a. We'll come up
Little-
with an image that works perfectly for the
Little
doc.
fan forum sanitary napkin.
Well, picture of Crane and Shredder, and
Yeah.
I like it. All right,
All right,
guys. Well,
fellas.
thanks for hopping on, everybody.
Yeah,
I
boys.
really appreciate all of the just seriously, everybody's just the
Oh, hey,
Anthony, Mike,
Mike
everybody.
just checked into the chat right when we're
he's
diving
getting
out.
gear. I'm just putting it out here so it actually happens. It's my new plan. Everything I want Hitch to do, I'm gonna make him do it live on YouTube.
Call me out. Hold me accountable, boys.
Yeah. So seriously though, thanks guys for hopping on. Thanks for all the help. Thanks for all the support. We're still going to be putting out some episodes every single week in the summertime, but we're going to pre-record a bunch because there's nothing going on in the games. But then as soon as we get back to the football games, we're going to do these live every Tuesday night at 6:30. I think it's going to be really fun during the season because if you think Hitch is pumped about a 7th round draft pick right now, wait till the field is fully lit up and we have our jerseys on and he has his jersey on and these guys are actually through training camp. He's going to be jumping through that screen.
We're doing it. We're going live early. We're going live often. Look for me to maybe go live during the week to break down these UDFAs since Pistons
Do
take
it.
precedence. We're out here. We're here early. We're here often. We're gonna be a presence, and you don't have to listen if you don't want to. But we're gonna
I'm gonna
keep
talk.
Going. We're gonna keep going.
I'm going to talk.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Wayne,
Go
do you have
Bills.
anything to say?
Go Bills.
Go Bills. All right. So eloquently put.
All right. Well, go Lions and
Peace.
deuces.
One
See you,
pride.
boys.
See ya.